Active noise cancelling headphones are a great tool when you simply want to drown out the background noise and immerse yourself in your music. They also make great companions for that long road trip or even those long flights when you simply want some peace and quiet. Now currently, we can think of 3 brands that have some pretty popular models in the market, and these include the Sony WH-1000XM2, the Bose QC35 II, and the Sennheiser PXC 550 wireless. Now all these headphones are flagships from their respective companies, and they also retail for around the similar price in India, which is about 30,000 rupees. Now there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to headphones, as sound is a very subjective matter and each one perceives it differently. Now none of these really disappoint when it comes to audio performance, but they do have slightly different audio characteristics which make them different. Today we'll be taking a look at that and some of the other features that they offer, so you can pick the one that suits you the best. Now before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified when we have new videos. Now comfort is going to be one of the crucial factors when choosing the right active noise cancelling headphones, especially if you're going to be listening to it for long hours at a stretch. Now all 3 are built extremely well with high quality plastics and metal inserts for the headband, which make them feel really robust. All the ear cups swivel and fold inwards for easy storage, and the PXC 550 wireless actually has its power button in the hinge of the right ear cup, so it's ready to go as soon as you unfold it, which is neat. In terms of pure comfort value though, we think the Bose QC35 II edges out the rest thanks to its plush ear cup and decent level of breathability, so your ears don't really get too sweaty even after long durations. It's also quite light at just 240 grams. Coming in at a close second is the Sennheiser PXC 550 wireless, which is actually the lightest headphone out of the 3 here. It also has pretty plush ear cups and it doesn't really clamp down too hard on your ears when you wear them. However, the material used for the inner lining of the ear pads does cause your ears to feel a little clammy and sweaty after a while. Finally, the Sony is fairly comfortable too, and it does offer a slightly snugger fit compared to the other 2, which some may prefer. Now the ear pads aren't as plush as the Bose and the Sennheiser, but they are pretty comfortable and quite breathable. Now the Bose and the Sennheiser feature user replaceable ear pads, and you can find these replacements online, which isn't too easy to find for the Sony WH-1000XM2. So you'll probably have to take them down to the service center for this. When it comes to features, it's really hard to beat the Sony WH-1000XM2. Most of them are delivered via the Headphone Connect app, and the most useful one that we found is the adaptive sound control. Now this uses your phone's location and motion sensors to detect the type of activity being performed, like sitting, walking, running, or if you're in a moving vehicle. You can customize the noise cancellation for each preset too, and the headphones will automatically switch between them. In practice, we found this to work pretty well. Now the noise cancellation can also be adjusted based on your altitude with the new atmospheric pressure optimizer. Other useful gestures includes quick attention, which temporarily disables noise cancellation so you can hear what's around you. The dedicated ambient sound button also channels outside sound into your headphones, which is useful when you're using it on a busy street. Music playback is controlled via the touch panel on the right ear cup, which works well except for maybe the play pause button, which can be a little tricky to find at times. The PXC 550 wireless also shares similar gestures as the Sony. You can swipe around the right ear cup for controlling your music, and a double tap pauses your music and disables noise cancellation so you can focus on the world around you. The call enhancement feature does make voice calls sound noticeably bolder and less hollow, while the smart pause feature automatically pauses your music tracks once you take off the headphones off your head. Although for this latter feature, we did find the music pausing intermittently even when the headphones were on. Now the QC35 II doesn't have any transparency feature or fancy touch controls, but good old-fashioned touch buttons do their job well. The app does let you share music you're listening to another compatible Bose headphone, and it also supports Google Assistant, which lets you issue commands directly through a press of a dedicated button. It can also read out incoming notifications for you. Now all 3 headphones support NFC for quick pairing, and they can be connected to 2 devices at the same time. Now the Sony does lag a bit behind the Bose and the Sennheiser, as even though you can technically connect them to 2 devices, only one device can use the A2DP Bluetooth streaming profile at a time. All headphones ship with a carry case, of which the Sony seems the sturdiest, followed by the Bose and then Sennheiser. You can use all of them as wired headphones too, even when the battery runs out. We appreciate the fact that Sony has gone with a standard 3.5mm headphone socket instead of the 2.5mm used on the other 2. However, the PXC 550 stereo cable has an inline microphone, so you can take calls too when it's powered off. Sennheiser and Sony also include an adapter for use with in-flight entertainment systems. Now, noise cancellation is the forte of these headphones and all of them perform excellently here. We've tested them in different environments and honestly, it's kind of hard to pick one over the other in this respect. The Bose and Sennheiser let you switch between different levels of noise cancellation with the press of a button, which the Sony doesn't. The PXC550 also has an adaptive mode, which lets you customize the level of noise cancellation, while the Sony automatically does this based on your activity. The Sony WH-1000XM2 has the most extensive high-resolution audio codec support, which includes AAC, aptX, aptX HD, and LDAC. Now the latter is Sony's proprietary codec, which can support streaming of 24-bit 96 kHz audio files over Bluetooth, and is the closest competition to Qualcomm's aptX HD codec, which can do 24-bit 48 kHz files. Now you don't need a Sony phone to take advantage of this, as Android Oreo now has native support for all these formats. High-resolution FLAC files sound very good with excellent details in the mid-range and tight bass. The headphones do an excellent job even with music streamed from the internet too, as even on full volume there's no audible distortion. The QC35 IIs only support AAC for high-resolution audio, but it still manages to deliver crisp highs and a detailed mid-range. There's ample amount of bass to be had too, even at lower volumes, which is slightly better than what Sony delivers. We notice mild distortion at full volume in bass-heavy tracks, but other than that, it performs very well. Finally, the PXC550 wireless is more neutral sounding and supports the aptX streaming codec. High-resolution files sound good with good detail in the mid-range and crisp highs. Bass lovers might prefer the other two options, but the Sennheisers can churn out pretty punchy and controlled bass once you push the volume up. We did notice that you have to push the volume pretty high for the drivers to sound their best, so at lower volumes, you lose a bit of detail in the mid-range. Now the Sony and the Sennheiser are rated to deliver 30 hours of battery life on a single charge, and when we tested them, we were able to come close to that claim and sometimes even exceed it in some use cases. Now the Bose isn't too far behind, as 20 hours is still a respectable time, and when we tested them, we managed to come close to that claim too. Now all three headphones are a class act when it comes to delivering good noise cancellation performance, audio quality and features. The Sony WH-1000XM2 stands out among the three simply for the sheer number of features it offers. It supports the most number of high-resolution audio codecs, comes with intelligent noise cancellation optimizations, and has a feature-rich app to go with it. If we could change some things, we would have liked the ability to have two full-blown simultaneous Bluetooth connections instead of having to compromise. If you're looking for the ultimate comfort for long listening sessions, then there's really no beating the Bose QC35 II. The plush ear pads really pamper your ears, which is something we really liked. It's also the most generous with bass, so if you like that extra bit of thump in your music tracks, then the QC35 II delivers this in spades across a volume range. Google Assistant integration is also a handy feature to have. We just wish it had little more advanced features like a transparency mode, which the other two have, and a battery life is slightly lesser when compared to the Sony and the Sennheiser. Finally, the PXC550 wireless combines some of the best features from both Sony and Bose. It's the lightest headphone of the lot, so it's not fatiguing after long sessions, and it supports some clever touch gestures and ambient sound mode too, just like the Sony. As a bonus, you can also use it as a USB headphone as you charge it, in case you forget to carry along the stereo cable. Audio performance is good too, leaning more towards the neutral side, but if you want it to sound the best, then the volume needs to be pushed quite high, as the mids tend to lose detail at lower volumes. It's also the oldest model of the three, so it's most likely due for an upgrade soon. So we hope this comparison has made it a little bit easier for you to pick which one suits you the best. And thanks for watching, and for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.